Welcome out, Coach Micheal Burt.
All right, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning. Sounds like you need to run them a few laps, Mike, to get them warmed up a little bit. Now, where's my Colton group at? Y'all didn't stay out too late last night, did you? Please tell me you didn't stay out too late.
Some of us did.
Did you go to Nashville and stay out too late?
I don't see Jim.
All right, good morning to you. Purpose of any business is to create a customer. Right? If you get this one thing and you understand this one thing, if I ask you right now, how many different ways do you use to create a customer? And if you can't tell me your top 4 strategies and your secondary strategies, then I would say that you're confused. And confusion is randomness in motion, which is how most people run their businesses. A lot of random motion, a lot of busyness, a lot of doing things that have nothing to do with producing a new customer. Everybody see what I'm saying? How many of you have been very busy? You went home at the end of the night, you told your partner, spouse, whatever, dog, that you worked hard that day and you're exhausted and you felt like you're in a 10-round fight and you didn't do one thing to produce a new customer. Raise your hand if you've done that before. Every person in this room. So what I like to do is I like to get real clear and I like to help you understand. Look, let's not be confused about this. When you're at work, the purpose of work is to produce new money by going out into the marketplace and finding clients. And the way we do that is by a series of actions. Now, so when I ask people, like, how do you go get clients? And they typically give me one thing. Well, I get referrals. And can I say, well, referrals is good, but it's only what? One strategy. Then I ask them, how many leads are you getting a week? Then they go, well, that's a good question. They really don't know. Then I say, well, how many leads do you need to get every week to have enough opportunity to hit your sales targets? And they say, well, that's a good question, right? And I'm like, well, how many people did you talk to yesterday about your business and about how you can solve a problem for them? And they'd say, well, I really didn't talk to anybody. Now, see where the problems lie right here? What is the purpose of the business? To create a customer, new money. What should we be doing 80% of our day? Focused on what? New money. So I was a basketball coach for a decade of my life, and I spent about 3.5 hours per day planning practice. I would watch film of the other team. I would break down the deficiencies in our team. I would meticulously plan our practices down to the very second of everything we were going to do because that time was really, really critical, right? And I would script the plays, meaning when I come into the game, I would say, based on the probability they're going to run this, they're going to run a man-to-man defense, here are the first 10 plays I'm going to run based on probability. I would run those plays, and I had an assistant that sat right beside me, and she would track those plays. Okay, they'd play man-to-man defense just like I projected, and I'd say, what's set number 1? Flex flare. Okay, I call it flex flare. My team would run the play, it'd either work or not work. And she would chart it. We did that the whole first half. Then I'd go into halftime and I'd say, which plays worked? And she'd say, well, 1, 2, and 5 worked 80% of the time. 2, 3, and 6 worked 20% of the time. And I would say, throw those out. And we'd go back in the second half, and which plays would we run? The ones that worked. How long would we run them? Until somebody stopped them. And sometimes the other coach was so dumb, I'd run the same play over and over and over, like 30 straight times and score. And here's the deal. I was just playing a game of probability. Now, let me ask you a question. Is selling a game of probability, yes or no? Yes. Here's what the numbers tell me. For every 30 people you talk to, only 4.8 are going to be open and inviting to your idea. That's 16%. So if you only talk to 4 people today, okay, 16% of 4 is what? A very small number. Based on that, how many of you are not talking to enough people? Raise your hand if you're not talking to enough people. Yeah, see, everything I do is percentage-based. Percentages tell me it takes 7 to 15 touches 80% of the time to convert a prospect to a client. Yet probably 90 to 95% of salespeople do not have a 7-touch follow-up system when somebody indicates interest in a product or service. Okay? For all the mortgage people in the room, statistics tell me that if you buy a house, the average person is going to buy 4 to 7 houses in their lifetime. Yet 98% of mortgage people never call a client back once they put them in a home. And each home should be worth 5.7 referrals over the lifetime of the consumer. So when you break all these numbers down and you say, man, where are we losing money? We start figuring out that we're losing money in a couple areas. A, we don't really have a plan to go out every day and do the one thing that is the purpose of the business, which is to produce new clients. Okay? So as a basketball coach, this is how systematic I was. We had a way we got off the bus. Okay? For all the Colton people, I'd have got you off the bus from shortest to tallest. That's how we got our basketball players off. And then they all walk in a single file line, and I taught the girls when they walked in to stare at the other team. So we get off the bus, get in a single file line. I was always in the front because I was a little dude. And we would literally, I taught my basketball players, they would walk in and my girls would just stare at them other girls like this. And then our girls would go in a single file line to the locker room. And you know where I got that? Because one of my biggest competitors did that to me. And my little girl basketball players were scared to death of that team. And I'm like, man, we're going to do that. We're going to walk in, single file line, shortest to tallest. I want you to stare at them and let them know you're about to whip them. Right? And our players would start doing that. Okay? We had a system for everything. Okay? We had a system for how we got dressed. We had a system for how we practiced. We had a system for how we got off the bus. We had a system for what time we ate before a game. We had a system for everything. And so at 31 years old, when I retired from athletic coaching, I started coaching business people. What's the first thing I figured out? They didn't have a system for anything. Right or wrong? I'm like, hey, how do you get clients? What's your system? What's your client? Here's a fancy banking term. What's your client acquisition strategy? How do you acquire customers? And they'd say, well, I don't know. And I say, well, how do you follow up when a person indicates interest in leads? Like they indicate they want to do business with you. What's your system for follow-up? Well, we don't really have one. Well, after you sell a person something and you're trying to get referrals out of them, what is your system for engagement after you sell them something? Right? What is your system for contacting your database? What is your system for how you post on social media? What is your system for, what is your mindset? So I quickly figured out that as a business owner, I didn't have this one thing, and I needed it. And I quickly figured out people I was coaching definitely didn't have it. Okay? So really, the reason I developed this system that's got 6 parts of it, that's really what we're going to be covering the next 2 days. Now, if you leave here tomorrow and you don't go execute on this system that I give you, then that's on you. But you can't say you don't have a system. Everybody with me? Because we're going to break every part down into very granular parts. Now, you say, what are the 6 parts of the system? These are the 6 parts. And I'm going to break each one of these down in our sessions. So number 1, none of this works until we activate something inside of you. We're going to call that prey drive. Prey drive is instinct. To see something and pursue it. Okay? Without the prey drive activated in a person, we contract to places of comfort. And we get complacent. Okay? We contract to places of comfort and we get complacent. So our first session today is we're going to get into how do you activate your prey drive every single day. How many of you at one time had a lot of drive and maybe somewhere along the way you lost a little bit of that drive? Okay? Yeah, everybody. Why do we lose that? Why do we lose that competitive spirit? Why do we lose that fire to go get it? If you study motivation, you quickly figure out that satisfied needs don't motivate people, only unsatisfied needs. So when we have satisfied needs, I mean, we make good money, we drive a nice car, we live in a nice house, we got a pretty good life. The enemy of the great life really becomes the good life because we get comfortable. When we get comfortable, we get complacent. When we get complacent, we quit doing things that made us successful. I hear this a lot. I used to prospect, coach. I used to follow up on leads. I used to engage with my client base. Okay, I used to do these things, but I quit doing them. Okay, who is it? Brown? Was it Les Brown? No. Maybe he said, used to bees and wannabes don't make any honey. Used to bees and wannabes don't make any honey. I used to do this. I used to do these things. I used to do this. I used to. We got to go back to a time in your life when you was real successful and ask a simple question. How did you become that successful? What did you do? What did you do every day? What kind of shape were you in physically? How tough were you mentally? How hard did you get after it every day? Okay? Go back and do, because you know, many of you know what to do, right? For some reason you're not doing it. And your brain is going to take the path of least resistance. Nobody here is going to feel like prospecting today, right or wrong? Anybody wake up this morning and say, man, I can't wait to go prospect? I can't wait to call strangers and try to convince them to use my services. Anybody? If you did, something's probably weird about you. I did coach a woman once who said, I love cold calling people. I love cold calling people. I hate, I'm like, man, why don't you just call the people who already not like you? Why do you like cold calling people? There's some kind of psyche there. But if you, right? So number one, you're not going to feel like doing a lot of things I teach. So prey drive we're going to get into is an instinct to pursue something. So that's the first step. Now, how many of you know people got a lot of talent but not a lot of prey drive? Okay? So they're very skilled, but they just can't go get it. They just don't have that desire to just make an outbound effort, to call somebody, to pick up the phone, to initiate. Until this is activated, then none of the things I'm going to teach you is going to matter. Because you're going to know it conceptually, but you're not going to have the drive to go get it. Right? And I would tell you more than anything that one thing, the prey drive and grit, has been one of the main things that's helped me be successful in my life, man. Because you can say a lot of things about me. You can say you don't like me, I'm not tall enough, you don't like my hair, my southern accent's too strong. But one thing you cannot say about me is I do not have a strong work ethic. Because I get up, if you follow me, I get up every single day, man, and go get it. And everything I tell you to do, I do. You can ask my team how hard I prospect, how much I follow up, how much I engage with people, right? Because I just believe at the end of the day, every study in the world tells me the same thing. People that win the most have grit. Grit is toughness, prey drive, ability to go get it. So we got to work on that first. Now, once we work on that, we then have to teach you how to explain your value. And we call that the explanation of service. Okay? And we're actually going to allow you to explain to each other what you do for a living. And what you're going to find out is that maybe you don't have a good explanation of service. I talk to people all the time, and people prospect me all the time, and I can't really figure out what they do. Okay? For my auctioneers in the room, I had an incredible breakthrough, maybe it was last night, about being an auctioneer. I would never say I was an auctioneer, because I think people pigeonhole you into a box when you say that. If you're a benefit auctioneer, here's what I would say. I work with high net worth people to raise millions of dollars for some of the top charities in the world. That's what a benefit auctioneer does, right or wrong? But I wouldn't lead with auctioneer, because as soon as you say auctioneer, I'm thinking about the auctioneer I grew up with in my little hometown that auctioned off the tractors on Saturdays, right? And if that ain't who you are, then you don't need to put that in my mind, right? So I would say, man, I work with high net worth people to raise millions of dollars for some of the top charities in the world. That's what I do, right? I wouldn't pigeonhole myself into this. It'd be like me just saying I'm a coach. No, I take very complicated things and I make them real simple. I deconstruct ideas, and then I package and codify those ideas, and then I deliver those ideas in a way that gets people to take action. That's what I really do. Why wouldn't I call myself just a coach? That's what I'm saying. Why wouldn't I? Because there's 700,000 people in the United States call themselves a coach right now. The average income of those coaches is $47,000 a year. Okay, so me and Larry, the life coach, that's making $47,000 a year, ain't doing the same thing. But you don't know that if I just call myself a coach. Would you agree? Okay, so I don't want to commoditize myself. So we have to work on how we explain our value so that the market gets it, and people can be open to us versus closed to us. Does that make sense? We need to be open. We want people to be open, and that has to do with how we explain our value. Now, once we get that down, then we're going to move into how we generate leads. We're going to call it the legacy selling system. So how do you right now generate leads? How many leads are you getting? Okay, my wife runs the health side of our business. She makes a post every single morning on social media, before, after, people what they used to look like versus what they currently look like. And that is a strategy. It does produce 3 to 5 leads per week. But I ask her a simple question. Do you want to grow that business? Yes, I do. Well, you can't just use one strategy then. If you're only getting 5 leads a week, the question ought to be, how do you get 50 leads a week? How do you get 500 leads a week? Okay, now I can show you how I'm generating 3,000 leads in 90 days with really no paid advertising. just through going out and getting in front of people. Okay? So the way I generate leads is I have a simple philosophy. The key to the many is to the one. You win over the one right person, and that one person introduces you to a lot of other people, right? Now, how many people are in your downline? He's got 700 people in his downline through EXP. If I win him over, what's the next thing he's going to say? What's the next thing he's going to invite me to do? He did it, man. Bring you down to Atlanta, work with my people. Now I know 700 new people. Now, how hard was that? I didn't have to pay him. I didn't have to buy paid advertising. I didn't have to buy the lead. All I had to do was help him get to a better place in his life. Right? Now, you're going to hear me say this throughout the next 2 days. You don't need more money. You need more people. The people have the money. Leads are where? Literally everywhere. So if I help him get to a better place in his life, he's going to say, man, I want you to work with my 700 people because you can help them get to a better place. Now I got 700 new leads. Out of those 700, what's the percentage of people that's going to be interested? 16%, right? So I look at 700 times 16. Now, if you have access, where's all my auctioneers at? How many auctioneers are there in the country? Right? There's like 3,000 as part of the National Auctioneers Association. Okay, all right, so all I got to do is win over just a few key people, and they introduce me to all you guys, right? And you introduce me to more people, and then you introduce me to more people. All I got to do is remember one simple principle. If I get you to a better place, if I help you in your life, you're going to help me. Everybody see that? So a lot of times I hear people wake up, and here's what they say: who should I call? Like, I don't have anybody to call. And I'm like, call other human beings. Right or wrong?
Yep.
Money changes hands when problems are solved. How many of you got a problem today? Okay? All I got to do, but for me to know Byron's problem, what have I got to do? I got to talk to Byron. I got to talk to Byron. I got to find a problem. Money changes hands when problems are solved. So we got to teach you, how do you get in front of more people? How do you constantly get in front of more people? Now, if you want to spend money on advertising, do it. I do on certain things, but I don't have to generate leads. I just get in front of people. Does that make sense? And anytime I can get in front of people, I'm in. Okay? Don't matter where. I spoke once at a fair, like a county fair once. Okay? It's probably the worst engagement I've ever had in my life, because people at the fair ain't interested really in getting a whole lot better in personal development. Okay? Number one. But here's the deal. Still gave me people. Still put me in front of people, right? Now, so number three is, how do we generate leads? That's what the legacy selling system is. Now, once we have leads, then we got to do what with those leads? We got to follow up, and we got to convert those leads. We got to convert people that are interested. Somebody's got to get a person to take an action, to convert them from interest to an action. They have to be sold on you. Okay? So we're going to talk about, how do you follow up? We call that the $1 million follow-up. We're going to work on the 7 conversion points. So I'm going to give you 7 things to say to get a person to say yes, to get a person to take action. Okay? Once we get there, then we're going to work on, how do you extract referrals from your current book of business. And we're going to call that acres of diamonds. Okay? Step number 5. How do we get more out of your current book of business? How do you second sell a person? How do you cross sell? How do you get more referrals out of your current book of business? And then we're going to finish up with a concept called person of interest. And how do you become known in the marketplace? How many of you think you don't have a talent problem, you got a marketing problem? Most of you. Is you're not known enough in the marketplace. So these are 6 parts of one system. Now, this system is like a spread offense that has 57 options in it. Okay? Very few people that I coach is great at all of these. Right with me? Okay, now I was on the phone with my $200 million mortgage producer this morning that I coach. She picked one area and she said, I'm going to dominate this area. And she picked part number 6. I'm going to become a person of interest. I'm going to become known. I'm going to become famous. Everywhere you see, and she said, whatever you're doing, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do videos. I'm going to be out in front of people. I'm going to have coaching programs. I'm going to do my own boot camps. I'm going to do retreats. I'm just going to go out and just circulate and circulate and circulate and circulate. And she told me this morning she was doing roughly 29 to 30 million a month. Now, here's the deal. That's major production. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay, so she's doing something right. She's not doing everything up there. She just said, I'm going to take this one part and I'm going to become known. And if I become known, I think it'll take care of everything else. Now, why would I put that at the end? Why would I put that as step 6? I believe that if you do the actions I'm teaching you on a consistent basis, you're going to become a person of interest. Because you're going to have so much action and movement and circulation, people are going to be watching and observing what you're doing. Your market value is going to go up, and you're going to become more in demand. People of interest are always moving, circulating, taking action. They're always doing something. They're involved in something, strategic partnerships. So what happens is the market says, what? Man, they must be good. Because they got to be doing something right if they're moving like this. People associate movement with success. Everybody see that? They just associate movement with success. They don't really know what you're doing. They just know you're doing something. Okay? And that's a whole lot better than doing what? Nothing. Okay? So I'm going to stop right here. And out of the 6 areas I gave you that we're going to be talking about, I want you to tell the person beside you, if you could get one thing out of this system that you are looking for. Now, this is called an impact filter. Before I go to a training, I make up my mind what I'm going to get. Okay? You guys have heard me talk about going to a Tony Robbins event. Okay? I spent $7,000, took a guy with me, and in the first 15 minutes, I looked at the guy beside me and I said, we can leave now. And he's like, what do you mean we can leave? It's 4 days. It's 50 hours. I'm like, I got all my money's worth in the first 15 minutes. And he said, well, what did you come to get? And I said, I just wanted to see how he put 10,000 people in a room. And I figured it out. Music, drama, lights. So what did I come back and do? Why do I have strobe lights in here this morning? That's Tony Robbins, right? Now, why do I have the music glaring? It's Tony Robbins. It's energy. Here's what I went to learn from Tony Robbins. How do you put 10,000 people in a room? And I learned the first 10 minutes. See, I can read a bad book and get something good. Low-level people read a bad book and say, oh, it's a terrible book. High-level people read a bad book and go, you know what? There was one concept that I got out of that book that was powerful. Right? High-level people can always find something that they're going to get from something. Okay? And so out of these 6 things, what do you want to get over the next 2 days? What is your biggest missing structure right now? If we solve this one problem for you, how much more money would you make? So take a minute right now, tell the person beside you, out of the 6 areas, this is the area you want to focus on the most. Okay? Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Just making sure my clicker's clicking. There we go.
Anything, water, anything?
No, I got some up here. All right. Now, the reason I like to show you the whole system up front, we did this as a basketball coach, is we would teach you the whole thing. We'd show you the whole thing. Then we would break it down into parts. It's called the whole part, whole method. So we'd show you how the whole thing should work. And then we'd break it down into little parts and say, if I just fix this area, we could be a lot better. Okay? Now, let's start with the activation of prey dust. Everybody got one thing they're going to take away, right? And if you don't take away anything else, but man, I'm committed to working a system every day to generate leads. I need to refocus my time on the highest value of my time. The highest value of my time is producing customers. If you don't take away anything else, that's worth coming, okay? Because some people just need to recommit. You need to recommit to things that make you successful. Now, let's talk about prey drive. This is the whole person. And this is very important because from 18 to 25, I studied under a guy named Dr. Stephen Covey. Covey wrote The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Principle-Centered Leadership. And one of the best things I learned under Covey was this paradigm. People are made up of 4 parts. A body that represents skills. A mind that represents knowledge. A heart that represents passion, energy, and a spirit that represents confidence, faith in something. If you are not clicking on all cylinders in each part of your nature, then you're not going to produce at your highest levels, especially when it comes to prey drive. For example, what if you have a lot of talent, that's skill, but you don't have a lot of passion, that's heart? How good are you at things that you don't care about? How good are you at things where you've checked out? What about an area where you've lost faith in or you've lost confidence in? What about if you have a broken heart? What about if you're completely burned out? Does it matter how good your skills are? So when I coach people, I'm basically looking at all 4 parts of their nature, and I'm trying to figure out where they're deficient. I'm like, why has this guy got so much talent, but he don't have any drive? Or a common one I see is it's a very skilled person or pretty skilled person, but maybe they don't have the confidence they need. Okay? Now, what I would tell you about confidence is confidence follows knowledge, skill, and desire. So the more knowledge I have, the more confident I am. The more skill I have, the more confident I am. Okay? The more effort I put into something, the more confident I am. Okay? Knowledge, skill, desire, and confidence. All 4 parts of your nature. Now, when it comes to prey drive, here's my strategy. I want to activate all 4 parts before I get to work in the morning. Okay? So I want to go through a little bit of a routine to help you get in the mindset. Because I had a Marine that trained me for a year, and it was 5 businessmen, and we showed up in the morning at 5 a.m., and he would say to us, when we came in, number 1, he'd say, "Good morning, ladies," and we were 5 men. And this next thing he would say is, "It's time to get your mind ready for what your body's about to do." And he'd say, "You ain't going to like what I'm going to put you through today, but that's why you hired me, because you wouldn't have done it on your own." And I've never forgotten that. I think to be a top professional, to go pro, to really be a pro, all of your work needs to be done before you show up to the office. Does that make sense? Your planning needs to be done. Your targets need to be set. Your schedule needs to be complete. Like amateurs show up at the office and then try to figure it all out. It's like, well, who am I calling today? Well, I don't feel like prospecting, so I'm not going to prospect. Well, I got this one problem I got to deal with, but I don't want to deal with this problem. Like that's an amateur thought. Professionals prepare, and then when they show up to the office, they execute. They have already got all of their stuff in the mornings, okay? Like, for example, I use drive time to call people. I do not use drive time to listen to podcasts. I have already listened to podcasts before I get in my car. Everybody see that? To me, that's valuable time. I can be calling prospects, current clients, past clients. So when I'm in the car, I've already listened to the podcasts I need to listen to before I get ready in the morning. All that's done, because to me, That's valuable time. Like if I'm going to be with you all day today and I don't have time to make my calls, why don't I just make them in the 15-minute drive why can't I make them this morning? Right? So to me, you got to make a decision if you're going to go pro. You're going to leave your amateur desires behind. So my morning routine starts this morning at about 4:15. So I got up at 4:15 this morning. First thing I do is I listen to a song called It's a Great Day to Be Alive. Okay? And it's hard to be mad when you listen to that song. Okay? So I listen to that song, It's a Great Day to Be Alive. I get up and I take vitamins. I have vitamins customized to my body. I strongly suggest in today's world that if you're into preventative medicine, then you need to go pro in your health. Okay, so I go to the number one energy doctor in, I think, the world in Houston, Texas. He customizes the vitamins specific to my body and my deficiencies. He also does that for my wife. That is an investment of about $10,000 per year in the vitamins, but that is high-end concierge medicine that is specific to me and my body. Now, why is that important? Number one, how much money do you lose when you're sick? Okay? How much money has people lost during this period? Because they've been sick. Okay? So here's the deal. How do you prevent sickness? Is you prevent it. You prevent it by how strong your immune system is. How do you protect your immune system? So the first thing I do is I take my vitamins in the morning, and I never miss those vitamins. And that's not like gummy bears down at the Walgreens. So if you're like, say, if you're telling me like I take a multivitamin, I get it at Walgreens, that's not quite the same thing we're talking about here. We're talking about customized vitamins specific to your body based on your body's deficiencies. As you age, your body begins to decline. It quits producing things it needs to be successful. So a lot of men do not have prey drive because they lack testosterone. As you age, get 35 and above, you lose testosterone. Testosterone is directly associated with your drive to go out and get something. Right? So I see a lot of middle-aged men I coach like this. They don't have any drive, and they don't have any energy, and they don't have any get up and go, and they don't want to do anything, and they want to go home and lay on the couch. And at first I thought they were lazy because I was coaching these dudes. I'm like, what is wrong with that dude? Like he don't want to do anything. And then I go to this doctor in Houston. He's like, that dude, I guarantee you, is probably low in thyroid, which controls all the energy in the body. He's probably low in testosterone. He's probably low in cortisol, which handles all the stress in the body. Right? And if we got that same dude at a higher level, he would have a lot of get up. Okay, my doctor's 72 years old and he has the energy of a 25-year-old. He said, I don't want the energy of a 72-year-old. I want the energy of a what? 25-year-old. And that has to do with your thyroid. So in the morning, I take my vitamins first thing in the morning. Very important. If you're going to do big things, you need a bunch of energy. Yes or no? Yes. Okay, if you get to the office, you're like, man, I'm already tired. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm already tired. How's your sales game look when you're tired at 9? It's weak because you don't have any go. So number one, body. So then I go to the gym. Okay, Jay Cash, a little auctioneer buddy, was in there working out with me this morning. And I go to a place called Rock Box. That's a cross between a nightclub meets a fight club. Okay, so you feel like you're in a nightclub, music, glaring, a little person yelling at you. You box for 30 minutes, you do functional fitness for 30 minutes, and when you're done, you feel like you got a good workout in. You're sweating. And then that feeds my what part? Body. On the way to the gym, I listen to something on faith because I'm a faith-based person. So I typically listen to a 15-minute sermon on the way to the gym. Now I'm feeding my spirit. So I fed my spirit. I fed my heart. Then I go home and spend time with my 2 kids from 6 to 7 a.m. That feeds my what? Heart, my emotional self. Then when I'm getting dressed, I listen to something on business, typically 15 or 20 minutes. Now I fed my mind. Now, if I woke up this morning tired, irritated, exhausted, whatever, right? What is your routine for kickstarting yourself into high prey drive every day? That make sense? Because these are 4 ways you can activate your prey drive. Right? You need a morning routine to activate your prey drive. Now, let's compare that with sleeping in late, dragging out of bed, rushing to get to work, haven't fed any part of your nature. Is that how a professional would show up? Yes or no? So last week, Kevin Elko was here. Kevin Elko is Nick Saban's psychologist. He's been with Saban for 20 years. Okay? And when we were having lunch, the phone rang, and he said, Nick's calling, I got to take the phone call. I got to take this call. And he put it on speakerphone and let me listen to the conversation between him and Saban. Let me tell you what they don't talk about. They don't talk about the weather. They don't talk about family. They don't talk about kids. They talk about one thing: how are we going to beat Tennessee this weekend? And Elko is telling Saban, this is what you need to say. This is how we need to package it up. And they're going back and forth. And I was just struck by how serious they are about winning, how serious they take the game, how much they want to be the best. They are pros. Most people don't show up like pros every day. Okay? So I want to stop right here, and I want to ask you, what are you willing to do after today when you leave here to go to work on all four parts of your nature so that you show up every morning like a pro? Because if you show up and you don't feel like it, what's going to happen? Then your manager's got to do what? Where's all my managers in here? Then what do you spend all your time doing? Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think big-time people need motivation from another person in the morning? Do you think big-time people show up and go, hey, man, Mr. Manager, need you to get me psyched up for today? Or do you think big-time people show up and go, hey, man, let's go. Let's do this. I'm ready. It is up to you individually to show up like a professional if you want to make pro money. If you want to make pro money, you got to start having habits that pros have. And one habit is we get up, we get going, we get moving, we get circulating, we get our mind ready for what our body's about to do. When it's 9 o'clock at Colton Mortgage, everybody should be, boom, outbound effort. Let's go hit the phones. Let's work the leads. Let's close some deals. Let's make some money. Right? It shouldn't be, come on, everybody, get in here. Let's get everybody excited and motivated today. It should be, we are stone cold killing machines, man. We are stone cold killing machines, man. I don't need motivation from you. What I need is maybe a strategy on how to close better. What I need is how to put this deal together. What I need is this, but I don't need you to babysit me because I'm a pro. Everybody see that? Now, having said that, most people need what? A babysitter. Yeah, having said everything I just said, for all my managers in the room, unfortunately, you also signed up for a little babysitting. Now, think about this. I got a 9-year-old daughter, right? And I'm trying to teach her, let's get up in the morning. How you start your day matters. Let's get up and go get it. Let's not drag out of bed and be lazy and get in the mindset now of going to get it every day. Okay? Now, how many of you are committed to, once we get to the office, we've got no distractions. The purpose of work and the purpose of the business is to do what? Okay, now, who's in charge of my financial future? Okay. So if Jim comes along and try to pull me into a conversation in the middle of the day that's got nothing to do with me making money, I am mature enough to say, I can't talk about this right now. I'm trying to make money for my family. This is a distraction. Whatever drama you got going on in your life is not my drama. Everybody see that? I don't allow other people to pull me away from the purpose of what I'm trying to do. My purpose at work is to work and serve people. It is not to socialize. It is not to talk about the weekend. It is, I am there. I've got only so much bandwidth and so many people to help in a day that I literally don't have time for all this other stuff. Okay? Now, I've worked alongside some of the top people in the world. Guess what they don't participate during the day? Drama, gossip. They do not have time to even entertain it. You don't even bring it up to them. Like you'd be embarrassed even bringing it up to them. Can you see me going to a guy like Ed Milet and say, hey, let's talk about a little drama here for the next hour? Right or wrong? Can you see me going to Elon Musk and saying, hey, let's take an hour off of working on getting somebody to the moon and let's talk about some drama that's going on Facebook? Big time people do not allow other people to distract them. So the purpose of work is to go to work and buckle down. So I want you to take a second right now. I want you to write out what you're committed to as it relates to going to work on all four parts of your nature. Yeah. Now, this is what's interesting. I went into an insurance company in Houston, Texas, and I got them all motivated, right? And they wanted me to come in and get them motivated because it's insurance season. And a percentage of them, after I did the motivational session, went outside and smoked for 15 minutes. Okay? And so the owner of the company came to me and said, what? Like, you just came in to get all these people motivated, and as soon as you got them motivated, they went outside and smoked for 15 minutes. He said, how can I help them understand this? So I brought them all back in. I said, let me ask you a question. How long does it take you to make a sale? They said 1 hour. I said, all right, how many times did you go outside and smoke today? Well, if you go out 4 times, that's what? 1 hour. I said, all right, let me ask you a question. If you waste 1 hour a day, and it takes you 1 hour a day, and let's say you made a sale during that 1 hour, and you did that every day, that cost you 5 hours a week. 5 hours a week times 4 weeks, it's 20 hours a month. That's 20 sales a month. If you multiply that by 12, you just cost yourself 240 sales. Now, let me ask you a question. Is smoking that cigarette more important than that 240 sales? Everybody see that? Now, so what you're telling me is it's more important that you go out there and waste that 15 minutes than it is to make a sale. Is that what you're telling me? Because one of these two is more important to you, right? It doesn't matter to me because it ain't my money. If you want to take an hour off a day and go do that, but it costs you an hour, then I want to show you how much money you're actually losing. See, the brain can't do 2 things simultaneous at the same time. So I can't be involved in low-value activity and prospect at the same time. I can't do something outbound and deal with something internally. Your time is so critical to you. So showing up ready to perform every single morning is really important. Getting in a routine and a rhythm every morning. Whether it's just get up and go for a walk. Whether it's just get up and listen to something positive. Whether it's just get up and see your family in the morning. Whether it's just get up and do something so that you show up ready to go. Everybody see that? We had an artist that I paid to play at Monster Nation because I wanted some country music flavor. And we're doing this big Monster Nation conference. I suck, I don't know, a couple $100,000 into this. And the artist showed up the morning in her pajamas. She had no makeup on, looked like complete hell. And I just told my team, I said, send her home. Just send her home. And she got mad at me. I still paid her the money. I paid her $1,000. I said, you can keep the $1,000. But you know, you have to live with the fact that you didn't show up ready to perform. That cost you not only that opportunity, but any future opportunity with me for the rest of your life. See, that's what you don't understand, right? Yeah, but I had a bad week and my boyfriend broke up with me. I get it, man. I understand. Everybody here's got a problem. Professionals do what? Show up, man. Every single day they just keep showing up. And they know I got to get my mind ready for what my body's about to do. The purpose of the business is to produce. Some of you, or if you're watching online, the number one problem is you don't have the work ethic to show up every day. You just don't show up and prospect every day. You don't follow up every day. You don't go the distance every day. And then you wonder, why my business growing? It ain't going to grow unless you put force and energy into it. Would you agree? Yep. So part of this is just getting your mind and body ready like an athlete, man, to perform at a very high level. Okay? Now, anybody want to share what they're willing to do? How many of you at one time was in the best shape of your life? Raise your hand. Okay? Remember, what did you do to be in the best shape of your life? I want you to remember that. What did you do? Did you have a personal trainer? Were you in the gym every day? Were you on a specific diet? What did you do to make that commitment? And how did you feel during that period of your life? And what kind of results were you getting? Right? You got to make a decision to go pro, okay? Now, let's look at Pray Drive. There are 3 components of Pray Drive. Number 1, the Pray Drive has to be activated. Number 2, there must be a persistence to the Pray Drive. And number 3, there must be an intensity to the Pray Drive. Okay, Pray Drive is an instinct to see something with the eyes or in the mind, and then have the persistence and intensity to pursue it. Okay, so it's the ability to see something, Okay, what do I see from a sales cycle? What do I see? What should I see at night before I go to bed for the next day? What should I be thinking about? Who's on my hit list? Okay, see when I sit down at night, it's who's on my hit list? Who can I help with my services? Who's in my farm club? You're going to hear me use these terms, right? That has indicated interest that I haven't closed. Who's in my top 25 I need to be loving on and spending time with? What events do I need to be planning? See, pray drive is I see it. I see it. I have an instinct. I need to pursue that opportunity. That's an opportunity, right? That's a big play. That's, okay? Now, I'm trying to get you to open your mind a little bit to see opportunity is literally everywhere. It's literally everywhere. There is no shortage of opportunity. There's no shortage of money. Okay? I think it's something like 30 to 40% of all the money that the U.S. has ever printed in the history of our country has been printed in the last year. There has been more money pumped into our economy in the last 12 months than any other time in history. Like 40% of all the money that's ever been printed has been printed in the last year. So you can tell me all day long there is a shortage of something, but there's not. There's no shortage of money. There's no shortage of opportunity. Any of y'all been to an airport lately? See how many people's out there at those airports? Thousands and thousands and thousands of people. Unless you go to Detroit. And I went to Detroit and I'm like, where's all the people at? I'm like, there ain't no people here. Now here's my point. When you think about this concept of activating pray drive, we're going to get into activators. Some of you, your pray drive just hasn't been activated or it's been deactivated at some point. So you just don't have that hunger to go get it every day, which means, man, I'm going to make outbound effort today. I'm going to follow up on a lead like I used to. I'm going to close these deals. I'm literally going to pick up that phone and make something happen. That's the pray drive. Now, my buddy Tim Story talks about life knocking the shout out of you. How many of y'all have already dealt with the bozo this morning? Somebody act like a complete idiot already today. Surely I'm not the only one. I started with one at 6 o'clock this morning. Every day I deal with somebody that acts a complete fool over something. Every day. Now, I got a choice when that happens. Do I let it knock the shout out of me, or I just say, hey, we're just going to keep on going, man. We're just going to keep on going. We're just going to keep on going. So activation of pray drive is the first thing we got to do every single day. Now, persistence. Let's define persistence in this category. Here's what I want to say persistence is in the sales game. Number one, will you commit to 2 hours every day of nothing but new money? Nothing but new money. That means during that cycle, you don't do anything else except focus on new money. And we'll show you exactly who to call on during that period. This is the first thing that shows me you got some persistence about you. Will you commit to going 7 touches in the follow-up? And will you commit to engaging with people after the sale? Even if you don't feel like it. Okay? So as a show of hands, all progress starts by telling the truth. It'll do you no good to lie to me about this. How many of you in the room right now are literally spending 2 hours a day prospecting for new money? Nothing but new money for 2 hours. Raise your hand, please. Okay. This is common. Why? Jim, why don't people do it?
They get distracted. They don't have the habits and the discipline to do it.
Okay. Now, here's the deal. What is the purpose of the business? To produce a new customer. So what I try to do is get you real focused on the highest value of your time is on the production of new customers. Okay? So any activity I do during the day that will produce a new customer is a high value activity. Everybody see that? Anything I do that's got nothing to do with the production of a new customer is a low value activity. Okay, so I do an auction. Auction goes great. How many people could I meet at an auction? 22. Let's say 22 people. Now, is it feasible that those 22 people could use my services at some point in the future? Yes or no? Okay. What could I do after the auction? Engage with them. See, here's the point. When I go speak at places, I walk around and talk to people, and I just say, you seem like a cool person. Here's my phone. Just put your name and number in here. I've never had a person tell me no, by the way. Never. They put their personal cell number in there, and I go back, and I just pick up the phone and call them. Hey, this is Coach Burt. I saw you in Virginia Beach a few weeks ago. Tell me what you're trying to do. They say, well, I'm trying to do this, and this. I say, oh, okay, great. And I just connect with people. Okay? You don't need more money. You need more people. So a high-value activity of an auctioneer, number one, call back all the people you've ever done an auction for, number one. Just engage with them. You're not looking to make a sale every time you call a person. You're just looking to connect to people. Right? You're just looking to connect to people. That's all you're trying to do. High value is any money-generating activity. Oh, I got a strategic partner. Oh, I know that's a real estate agent I need to be calling. Oh, I know that's a strategic partner. That's a high net worth person I need to know. Everybody see that? Everywhere you go, you need to remember you don't need more money, you need more people. So everywhere I go, I'm just collecting data, calling on people and engaging with them. Some of them don't answer. Some of them don't answer the phone. Some of them don't respond. But I'm just connecting to people because I have this theory, you don't need more money, you need more people. The people have the money. So when I call on people, I did 2 coaching sessions yesterday for 2 kids that wanted just a few minutes of my time, and I found a problem with both of them. I said, man, this is really what you need to be doing. And I have a product that could solve that problem. So persistence is the willingness to do things you don't want to do to get results that you want. That's persistence. Okay? And I'm not listening to my feelings. My feelings are going to lead me wrong. Okay? Intensity is I have a target. I have a target. And I am moving with an intensity toward that target. So I want you to write down, what is your daily target right now? What is your daily target right now? Meaning, what is the number you're trying to hit every single day? And you need to know that number all hours of the day. Like, where are you in relationship to that number right now? Okay. Now, I measure 2 targets. Total contract value, which means what did we sell today? Doesn't mean we're going to collect it today. What did we sell? And I measure total money collected per day. And I'm trying to hit a target on both of those numbers. But if you don't have a target, then you just kind of go to work. So intensity is I have an intensity to pursue that target. And man, I have an energy. Man, I get up every day and I go get it. I get up every day and I go get it. I get up every day and go get it. Now, here's the thing. Elko talks about this. When you do something over a long cycle of time, you have synapses in your brain that look like this. When you do something over a long period of time, those synapses actually wire together. And he equated it to like barbed wire wrapped around it. Meaning, the people that have a strong work ethic have worked so hard for so long, that's the only way they know how to do it. People that have been lazy for so long, that's the only way they know how to do it. So a lot of you, I was telling somebody the other day, part of what we're trying to do with you is raise your standards and say, this is what pros do. This is how professionals work. And if you want to be a pro, we got to get up to that level. Everybody see that? Like you may think you're operating at a high level. I coached a mortgage company once, and the highest producers produced $25 million. And they paraded those people around like they were big producers. And I asked the CEO one day, I'm like, help me to understand something. Like, I'm over here coaching people doing $100 million, $150 million, $200 million, and you're kind of making a big deal out of your $25 million producers. Like, I don't understand. Like, to me, that's not big production in comparison to these other folks. And you know, he didn't really have a good answer. But what was he really saying in the company? He has produced a standard. And the standard is if you just got 25 million, you were the best. Is it not odd that nobody produced over 25 million? When they said, this is it, this is the top of the mountain, get 25 million, you're there. Right? And I could step over to another mortgage company and it's like 25 million. That's a little baby money compared to what we're doing. Right? One of the guys I'm coaching in Tennessee has got a goal to get 10 of his producers to 100 million. 10 of his producers to $100 million of production. Okay? That's a target. Okay? So I want you to take a second right here and I want you to tell the person beside you, out of these three things, where do you struggle? Where do you struggle? Is it activation of the prey drive every day? Is it persistence of that prey drive? Is it intensity of that prey drive? Wow. Yep. Right. All right, now, very important, and we're going to take a break in just a minute. And I said something, and I want you to hear my heart. My job is to help you perform at a higher level. If you believe you are already at the highest level you can get to, then there's no way I can help you. Does that make sense? So when I'm talking about these big numbers, these mortgage originators, like if that offends you, like, oh my God, he's talking about $100 million. No, you're looking at this all wrong. You should be looking at it like, if they can do $100 million, I can figure out how to do $100 million. They're not any smarter than you are. They don't have anything that you don't have. Maybe a little bit more grit, maybe a little bit more discipline, maybe a little bit more confidence. But you ought to be looking at it like, right? But so the first step of coaching is just realizing I have a coach. I have people coaching me in almost every area. You know why? Because I'm not where I would like to be. There's so many more levels for me to get to than where I am. So the first step is just recognizing, going, you know what? I really don't prospect like I should. I don't have the persistence I need. I don't have the grit that I need. I don't, right? Like you really got to come to a place of humility to really get coached. And you got to say there is a whole nother level for me that I'm trying to get to. That's really why you have a coach, okay? So how many people fell off the wagon in activation? Raise your hand if activation is your problem. Okay, this has a lot to do with what that morning routine I talked about. Many times your prey drive is activated by something outside of you. Although you may say it's in here, it's actually something activates that drive. I listen to something, I see something, I hear something. That's why I always listen to something on business in the morning, because it activates something inside. It's like, all right, let's go get it. Right? I don't always start with that. I start just like you do. I have to crank it up. How many of you struggle with the persistence part of it? Okay, so just remember, the persistence is just working the muscle. Okay, just working the muscle, just doing things you don't want to do. Okay, first thing I did when I got in the car this morning is call 2 people I did not want to call at all. I just want to go ahead and get that off my plate. Both of them have negative energy associated with them. And I'm like, first thing I'm going to do is get rid of this negative energy. Neither one of them answered. Thank the good Lord.
How do you call back?
Okay? But I still called them. And now, here's the deal. I could say, look, man, what do you want me to do? I called you. You didn't answer. Matter of fact, you don't ever answer. Right? People don't complain, don't ever answer when you call them to talk about why they're complaining. Okay? So my point is, I'm very intentional. Like, the Navy SEALs call it embrace the suck. Dabo Sweeney at Clemson says you got to suck the sour to get to the sweet. I don't know any other way for a lot of you in this room to prospect other than picking up that phone and calling somebody. I have spent money on ads. I have run Facebook campaigns. I have been on television, have my own television show. I have been on the radio. I have done everything you could do to drive leads. Everybody with me? And I have figured out the number one way for me to drive leads is get in front of people and follow up with those people and engage with people. I wish there was a better way, folks. I really wish that smartphone would actually make sales calls for you. But there's not. So persistence is really, I just come in and I do it. Why do I put the prospecting in the morning? People ask me this all the time. Why do I prospect from 9 to 11 versus 1 to 3 versus 3 to 5? Because it's like taking in vitamins, man. Right, Kurt? I just want to get them out of the way. I want to take them vitamins early in the morning and hit my 2 hours of prospecting and knock that out. That way in the afternoon I can solve the world's problems. So I prospect in the morning. I solve the world's problems in the afternoon. Everybody see that? Now, if you don't want to prospect for 2 straight hours, hit it from 8 to 9, take a break, and then hit it again. Now, a question came up over here. If you're an auctioneer and you part of your deal is recurring clients, engaging with your current clients so that they come back and be a repeat client, I'd give you credit for high value activity. If it produces money, I'd give you. So the mortgage people, if you called a past client and engage with them that helped you secure the next mortgage deal with them or referrals, I'd give you credit. Okay, for the Optavia coaches, I give you credit for engaging with people and keep them excited and keeping them on the plan so they go tell other people. Anything that will produce new money, I'd give you credit for. Everybody see that? So don't complicate it. There's no science to it. It's do I sit around and gossip with you, or do I get on the phone and call somebody? That's really what it comes down to. Now, we did the DISC yesterday with Colton with some of the DISC people. High eyes on a DISC profile are social. That is their being. That's the only thing they know to do. They like to talk. They get off track very easily. They talk about all these things in the world that's going on. Weather and politics and right? Mark, am I talking about you? You know I love him. Where's Mark Schaefer at on my team? Okay? You know we love you. But Mark's a high eye. Okay? And that's who he is. Now there's benefit to that. But when you're working with a high D like me, it's like, look, man, it's time to sell something. This is selling period. We can talk later. We can talk at 5. We can talk after work. We can talk at dinner. But we ain't talking right now. This is money generating time. So persistence in my book is really just doing things you don't want to do. Okay? How many of you struggle with intensity? That's your area. You struggle with intensity. Okay? The intense piece. Attacking a target. Okay? Everybody have their daily target? Before we take a break, everybody got their daily? Okay? Every day Is it you got to make 30 phone calls? Is it you got to make 40 phone calls? And I consider touches, text message, video messages, those are touches in today's world. Just because people don't answer their phone does not give you an excuse to say what? Well, I'm not going to make any calls because people don't answer their phone anyway. Which is what some people do today, yes or no? It's like, I don't feel like making phone calls. They don't answer anyway, so I'm just not going to call people. You touch, outbound, initiate, effort. Yes, sir.
If I shoot out a bomb video to 30, 40 agents, instead of mass stage, that's my video I just did. Does that count?
As one high value activity. I do count it as a high value, but I would be, and I think it would be is it a primary strategy for you or secondary? Like, does it generate business, direct business?
It just keeps
Yeah.
the warmth with
That's right. So what I would do is I would say that is a strategy, but it's more of a branding strategy than a customer acquisition strategy. So I would say that's a secondary strategy versus a primary strategy. Like this morning I did a video. Okay, did you guys watch my video this morning? It was called Don't Be a Little Mitch. That's funny, folks. Come on, at least y'all can relax a little bit, okay? It's about how not to whine and complain and be a little crybaby about things, like how to toughen up, right? And I do that on Facebook every morning, then it goes to YouTube. Now let me ask you a question. Is that a primary or secondary strategy? Secondary. I typically don't get business from the video, but it does keep me in front of people over and over and over and over again. Now, every now and then people reach out and say, you know what, I'm ready to sign up for your coaching program. Okay? One guy messaged me this morning, he said, I'm a Mitch. I'm like, all right. He's like, I'm tired of being a little Mitch. I'm like, all right, let's get you started. So here's the deal. That is a secondary strategy, not primary. Okay? Everybody see that? Okay, now, first session, we're going to take a break right here. What's the biggest thing you took away from the first session? Because there was something I really wanted you to take. Emma, y'all, hold on that just for a second till I get to it. Say again? How you start your day matters, folks. Yes or no? Yes. What if I told you I don't wake up motivated every day no more than you do? I wake up just like you do. Okay, sometimes tired. I'm a high D, so I wake up angry. For all my high D's in the room, I'm not mad at people. I'm just frustrated because I want to get somewhere real fast. I want to move. That's a characteristic of high D's. They're frustrated. So I wake up just like you do. Tired sometimes, frustrated. I got a 14-month-old son. Sometimes he sleeps all night. Sometimes he don't. Right? Sometimes I'm up with him. Sometimes, I wake up literally just like you do. Because I always joke because people come up to me in the gym in the mornings and they see me and they come in there like, here we go, let's activate that prey drive. And I'm like, get away from me. Like, man, I don't, this is not how I feel at 5 o'clock in the morning. Like, just because I look like that on the videos don't mean that's how I feel at 5 in the morning. Right or wrong? I'm just like you. I don't want to be in the gym at 5 in the morning, no more than you do. Okay? So what I'm trying to tell you is there's an art to cranking that engine, and the engine has to be cranked when? Every single day. And if you're on the operations side, that engine has to be cranked up every day on operation. You got to get your mind, if there's ever been a job, you got to get your mind ready for what your body's about to do. It's in operations. It's like I got to get up and get going because I'm going to deal with a bunch of crazy people all day, and they're going to be a bunch of high D's, and they're going to be pushing me like crazy. I got to get my mind ready. And if I got a bad attitude, attitude is a posture of the body represented by a physical state. I know if you have a bad attitude just by the way you carry your physical state. So attitude is, let's go. Let's have a good attitude. Let's make this work. It ain't going to be perfect, but we're gonna make it go today, okay? So that's one big thing. Give me one more thing you took away in the first session. Pick one thing and be excellent at it. You ain't got to get better at everything, folks. There's going to be a lot of information in the next 2 days. This is a system I've been working on for 10, 15 years. This is a daily set of actions. Okay? I still have not got my own wife to prospect like I want her to every day in her health business. Okay? She's not here, is she? Make sure she's not here when I say this. Now, here's the deal. I'm on her every day. I'm like, you want that health business to grow? Yep, absolutely. And I said, how many prospects you talking to today? How many, right? I did my video. I'm like, that's one strategy. How many people are you calling? How many people are you talking to? How many people are you following up with? How many people are you engaging with? It's not going to grow unless you, right? Attention to it, folks. Okay? All right, great first session, guys. We're about to move into the explanation of service. Let's take a 10-minute break, and then we'll keep on rolling, okay? Thank you. Thanks for being coachable.